Okay, this is a mic test. Okay, that's pretty loud. Okay, Twitch, am I live yet? Cool, I am live. Okay. Hmm. Looks like my internet's not as good as I thought. Oh well. Mm, Okay. Um. Let's see. Whoops. Okay, get pull. Okay. um. Okay, maybe I should rename that for starters. Because desktop's a bit vague, so we're gonna call this or I call it a workstation because it's not really a desktop. What do people call a workstation nowadays? I'm calling it a workstation. Git add git commit rename. Okay, so let's see. All right, I just call it backup. I don't really remember how to do this, but let us see. I also don't have any way to test this. That's probably fine. No, it's fine. Because setting up the testing environment is going to take way too long, so I'm not going to test it. I'm just going to go for it. So the first thing I need to do is okay, I didn't create the file yet. Wow, I don't remember how to write down Ansible playbook. Where is what's it called? Papers. Open a document in my Nextcloud directory called that. Roles includes and imports. So why would you want an import instead of, and why would you want a role instead of an include? Okay, but where does it get the roles from? I guess it gets it from. Oh, you can. The roles can live in a couple different places. The default global Ansible role path, configurable, and etc. Ansible config, or a roles folder in the same directory as your main playbook file. Another simple way to build scaffolding for roles to use the command Ansible Galaxy role init role name. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do new directory, call it roles. Inside of that, we're going to create another directory. Actually, should I do the Ansible roles thing, Galaxy thing? So it's Ansible Galaxy role init partition table. Or maybe I'll just call it disks. Hmm. Oh, that's a lot of things I don't need. So it only needs meta and oh, there's something called tests. Ansible has testing. Hold on. Okay, I don't know how this works, but that's fine. So out of these, I need tasks. I need meta. I do not need handlers. I don't think I need files. But for now, we'll just leave this as it is. I'm going to create a new one called ansible.config. We'll edit this. We are going to set up the roles directory. How do I do that? As mentioned above, the Ansible config environment variable will override all others. Okay. Local file in assumed to be project specific and overrides a percent. Use a config file. Okay. Environment inventory. How do I set it in a file? Since the tool does not use playbooks, use this as a substitute playbook directory. This can include relative paths for many features, including roles, groups, group vars, etc. That's the only one. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back up. We're gonna go, oh no, we are inside roles. Okay, in roles, I'm gonna create a new directory, call it hello. Then inside of hello, I need tasks and meta. Then let's do command. So just for the sake of testing, What is the command? Sorry, what's the command? Ansible playbook main.yaml. Okay. Syntax error. That's surprising. I completely forgot how to write a playbook. Where is my. Okay, how do I do this? So there's a name and there's sauce and there's hosts. Hosts are not important. So I start with this name, say hello, which is probably not very useful because my task is also called hello. Oh, this is supposed to. Right. Right. Completely forgot. I was okay. There was something else. Name is say hello. So this should work. Field host is required but was not set. That means the local host here. Hmm. So host is required. Oh, okay. It didn't do anything. That is because echo as a command doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be something kind of like output. Might have been debug. Yeah, it's debug. Ansible built-in debug. Print statements during execution. So debug module takes message, variable, and verbosity. Cool. What happens to a variable if it has space in between it? I actually have no idea how register works. Register, register composer, etc. Nothing to install. So register. Oh right, register gets a name. Import.standard error and standard failed when import.standard error, standard error. Okay. So I could probably just do register greeting and okay, this is gonna be greeting dot standard out. Should work. It was also variable, so I could just do variable greeting. Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's not really needed. I could just do standard out. Or I could do greeting dot standard out. Same thing, right? Okay, let's just do message. Hmm. That is cool. I didn't even realize that, so I didn't have to do anything. I could just leave it as message. Mutually exclusive with the message option. Beware that the option already runs in Jinja 2 context and has implicit wrapping. You should not be using Jinja 2 delimiters unless you're looking for a double interpolation. Cool. So I have a role. Now the test is to see whether this works. So I'm gonna save this role first. Mm, what do I put in meta.yaml? Roles, disks, meta, main.yaml. Galaxy info, auto, your name, description, your role, description, company, your company, license, minimum ansible version, galaxy tags, dependencies. Okay. It main.yml. Mhm. Cool. That should be good enough. I've put it in the wrong place. This was supposed to go to this. Okay, now what I need to do is I'm going to close everything. Ansible or config, I think it's supposed to be YAML file and, oh no, it's an INI file. Defaults inventory is equal to host.ini. So we're just going to do defaults playbook directory is equal to this wouldn't take variables, would it? Okay, so the easier option would actually be to just okay. So the easier option would be to symlink roles. So if I were to go into backup, I just do new symlink roles roles. Oh, it's symlink to this. Oops. Cool. Okay. I'm in the wrong direction now because I don't need to be here, so I'm gonna go back into backup. So now I have a main.yaml file and I have a roles directory, which is actually a symlink, but that shouldn't matter. And then now I will do main.yaml new task name backup stuff hosts all sure. And then we do actually it's gonna be localhost, I guess. Let's call it all for now. And then I could probably just create a host.ini later, so that's not an issue. But I have to do ansible config to do inventory.ini. So many steps. Okay. Hosts, tasks, array, and then no, it's not task. You do roles. CI roles, and then you do what's my role called again? What? Oh. I'm just gonna do this manually. LNS roles here. Okay. So it's called hello. So we just do roles hello. So now if I did ansible playbook main.yaml, Oh, so you don't do tasks. Okay, you just go directly into tasks. Makes sense. So the way I formatted the role was wrong because I was testing stuff. Roles, hello, tasks, main, and you delete all this. Makes sense. Should work now. Okay. Um. Hello. Sorry, I just saw the text. I don't know when you texted. Hold on. Okay, I can see. I can see chat. Oh, cool. Just got here. I'm trying to read you because I don't have chat up on my screen. I'm looking at my phone. I'm gonna read the text as soon as as soon as it comes in. Yeah. Either you're not texting or text is still slow. That's better. E- I wasn't texting. Oh, cool. So it works better on my phone. I don't know why it's weird on my computer then. Might be a Chrome thing. Might be Twitch thing. Maybe I need to use some other tool for it. Where was I? Okay, no host matching. Where was I? Where was I? Okay, I just have to try testing it then. Ansible, playbook, I is inventory.ini and main.yaml. Hmm, would it be possible for me to change this to mean local? Okay. Ansible inventory file. Okay, grouping, passing, sources. Let's just search for. Hmm. Okay, so I do some host and then I set the variable. So it will be connection is equal to local. Didn't work. Ansible connection. Got it. Ansible connection is equal to local. Cool, that works. What is the default inventory file though? Would it work if I didn't give you an inventory file? Hmm. Okay. So how do you default? What is the default inventory file? Okay, default location for this file is etc. hosts. You can specify different inventory sources. Source is the command line using I author expression option. You can generate an inventory dynamically for use. You can use an inventory plugin to list your sources in one or more cloud providers. See working with dynamic inventory. You can use multiple sources. What am I building now? A backup system. So I'm going to use something called an ansible playbook. Hold on one second. Let me just save this. Where is this? Okay, now this one on stage. Oh, okay. That is not ideal. So I would do roles. That didn't work. Cool, that worked. So that and Ansible config, I don't really have anything. Hold on, why isn't roles? That is weird. Changed stuff in roles, so shouldn't shouldn't be showing up like this. Okay. I haven't committed anything yet. Whoops. Cool. Sorry, just give me a second. Let me figure this out and I'll be right with you. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. That should be enough. Hey, sorry. So I am planning to create a playbook. So a playbook is a list of tasks. Let me show you one that I already have. So this one, setup workstation desktop playbook. So it's a list of tasks. So remove Fedora stuff. This one doesn't actually work because there's some problems with it, but yeah. So I can define a list of tasks like remove this, and it uses this module called DNF, which is Fedora's package manager. So same thing here. Again, here it's state present, there it was state absent. So this removes everything, this installs everything that's under name. And then there's another one called Flatpak, which is going to be installing a bunch of Flatpak applications. There's a few more things that I do. Where else do I have it? Okay, yeah. So this one's interesting. Create a group called myself, which is something that I use very regularly. So I create a group. So that's one of the other tasks in this playbook. Another group called rootless men, another group called users, and no, not sorry, not a group. This is where I create my users. So I typically have three users. So this is my streaming account, this is my work account, and this is for everything else, just an account for myself. So when I'm reading, watching YouTube, whatever. So sort of like a personal account. So I always, pretty much on every system that I've set up recently, I have these three accounts. So instead of doing it manually every single time, I decided I'd have a playbook so that's easier for me. And that is why I created the playbook. So the idea is that I take this playbook, this YAML file, then I put it on whatever system. Not, I don't actually have to put it on the system, so I can just say Ansible playbook and give it a playbook, and I could tell Ansible to run the playbook on a completely different system. So, for example, if I were to buy a new computer, I could use this computer and do all of these steps on the new computer. So that's the idea of an Ansible playbook. Normally, you'd use it for servers, you'd use it for setting up servers, but I decided to use it to set up a system, a workstation. So there's a bunch of things that I need to do regularly, but I don't really want to keep track of because then I'd forget. So every time I have to create a new user, I have to be like, okay, I want this setting, I want this setting, I want this setting. Annoying, I forget. So this. So this is another part of it. I think you remember when I was setting up Podman and it didn't work at all. So this was that. So I need to set up an engine and then I need to tell it to use this engine, which was the solution. I forgot about it because I have the playbook. I can just let the playbook do it for me. I don't have to remember it. Yeah, something like that. So now I don't need to remember that I need to create a file called containers.conf. I don't need to create this file and then I don't need to set this value. So right now, because I've used the playbook on this, let's see. So it has whatever whatever the contents of the file was supposed to be as defined in the playbook. I didn't need to remember to set it up. It was part of the playbook. So creating a directory for rootless men, same thing, same thing. So all of these config files, just got it from there and put it over there. There are better ways to do this, but I don't know them. So this is kind of hacky. Whatever. So another part of it is setting up my home directory. So I'd have to clone a Git repository every time and then clone that Git repository to every single user account, which is tedious to do one by one. So a bunch of tasks to do that for me. But as you can see, this becomes a little annoying to maintain because right now this is 319 files. So there's something called roles which you can create. So you create a role and then you're like, hello, is a role over here. So inside of hello, there's tasks. Just two tasks, register greeting and say greeting. Very rudimentary, not particularly useful stuff. And then what I can do is this is now my playbook, and here I can call the role, just call it hello. So next I will do disks. I don't need hello. But right now I don't have the disk role set up, so I have to go create it. So what do I want to do in my disks role? I don't know yet. So the first thing I would need to do is back up my partition table, but then depends on how many disks I have. I am not really sure how to do this. The main thing that I want to do is make a copy of my partition table. That is important. Second thing I would want to do is back up my crypt disk header. So that's going to be lux dump. Yeah. Okay, I am not sure. Double backup? What do you mean? Oh, I have two disks right now. Yeah. So the one that I would need is this. Okay, P5. Script setup, lux dump, dev, nvme 0 n1p5. Right, of course. I'm not copying the partition, I'm copying the partition table. Okay, so that's how that works. So what is a partition table? Let me show you. F disk, let me do the G disk. I don't have G disk? Wow, that's weird. Okay. So this is a partition table. It's the list of all your partitions. So this is one partition, second partition, third partition, fourth partition, fifth partition, where it starts, where it ends, how many sectors, what's the size, what's the type. So what happened is last time while I was messing around with stuff, I accidentally overwrote part of the partition table. So what happens is when you overwrite the partition table, you don't actually delete the partition. So the partition data is still there, but you just don't know where it is. And because I lost the partition table, there was pretty much no way for me to get it back. I just lost all the data. So if I had known where the partitions were, I could have gotten back all of the data, but I didn't know where the partitions were. So I lost it. The thing is, it was actually very silly of me because I had done the whole thing on stream and I had been looking at the partition table during the process. So if I'd gone back to my stream and looked at my own stream, I would have known where the partitions were, but I didn't think of looking at my stream, so I accidentally overwrote it by messing around with random numbers. And I lost the data. Fun times. Not gonna happen again. Yes, exactly. So basically, this partition, like this is partition 4. So that's the start. So at the start of that partition, you'd have some data that's basically the file system. So the first few bytes of the disk at that address would have information like, okay, this is a particular file system like NTFS or FAT, or in this case, it's probably ext4. So it will have data like that. And if you overwrite that data, you lose the partition. If you don't overwrite the data, even if you don't have the partition table, as long as you tell your partition table that there's data there, that there's a partition there from there to there, you can get it back. But I overwrote that data. So yeah. So now I decided I'll, keep a backup of my partition tables. That's one part. And another part would be the other part would be the other part would be to keep a backup of the headers of my encrypted drives. So that's, I think even that has information of where the partition starts. So that's another thing that I'm planning to do. I'm going to keep a backup of my partition encrypted encrypted partitions headers. What is salt? Salt is, where is salt? Salt. Salt is random data. This is probably just hex for some random word. Salt is random data that you put in when you're hashing something. So a hash is something like, if I say hello, I'm going to delete this, echo and hi, just hey, maybe MD5. So this is a hash of this particular string. It's not reversible. So the idea is that if you make even the smallest change, the hash is completely different. It's a one-way function. So you give it an output, you give it an input, you get an output, and the output is always the same. It is not encryption, because with encryption you can reverse it. Commit logs use hashes. So the thing about hashes is they're not very secure, because if people, how do I put this? You can generate something called a rainbow table by having a lot of hashes. So it's basically a dictionary of hashes. So if, for example, let's do this. If I were to Google this hash, there's theoretically no way for me to get the value of hey, which was the input, based on the hash. So it's a one-way function, input, output. The output cannot be used to derive the input. But it becomes kind of easy for people to just create a dictionary of hashes. So it's not the function that's being reversed, but just people keeping track of what kind of what the hash is for known strings. So that makes it a bit insecure. So to circumvent that, you add a salt, which is just a random string that's inserted into the hash at some point. So when you're storing passwords, you would use that. See, I should not be able to get. I should not be able to get the output. Yeah, like sprinkling salt. I should not have been able to get the output, but because there are rainbow tables, even Google's AI can tell me that the string that is an MD5 hash of the string hey. It's not supposed to do that, but it can, because people can just manually create a dictionary of hashes. Don't use MD5, okay? MD5 is very insecure. There's like problems with the function itself. It's not really secure at all. There's also collisions that happen. So ideally, each input can have only one output. So you can never have two similar outputs for different inputs. So every input is supposed to give you a unique output, but sometimes there's two different inputs that give you the same output, which is what a collision is, and you're not supposed to have collisions, but MD5 does have collisions because it was fundamentally not great. And SHA1 is another hashing algorithm which also has collisions. but that is what Git uses. So if I did git log 1, so this is an SHA1 hash, but it's fine. In this case, the only role of the hash is identification, and it doesn't have to be secure. So for Git, we've been using SHA1 some for a very long time, but normally you'd use something like SHA256 some or SHA512, I think. I think mostly use 512. It's much longer. So the idea is that you use these things along with encryption. You hash the data and then you encrypt it. There's some kind of I don't know the exact stuff, but there's ways to ensure reliability. Yeah, 512 I think a lot of people use. You could actually check. You know what? Let's check. Connection is secure. Certificate is valid. Details SHA256 fingerprints. Certificate, public key. So yeah, you use hashes for some of these things. Okay, not 512. So in cryptography, there's a lot of parts to it. One of the most basic ones is the hash. Then there's also encryption, and there's one more thing that I don't remember, but you use a lot of them over and over. So right now, what I want to do is create a backup of my partition table. I have no idea how to do that. So if I just did L, it's giving me way too much output. Okay, list no auto PT output. Okay, specify which upper columns to print. That might be useful. The four columns may be extended if list is specified in the format. Okay. Hmm. Device name refers to the entire disk. All systems without libata used inside make a difference between ID and SCSI disks. In such cases, name will be dev HDA and dev CA. Partition is the device name followed by partition number. Partition is the first hard disk in the system. Okay. Uh-huh. Oops. Fdisk allows reading by I command compatible scripts. The script is applied to in-memory partition table, and then it's possible to modify the partition table before you write it to the device. And vice versa, it's possible to write the current in-memory disk layout to the script file by Command O. That is what I want. So what is Command O? Is it just O? LMN output? Oh, okay. So Command O is, huh. Okay, so the way fdisk works is okay, pkexec sh su. Okay. Do not run things as root. Runs it as root anyway. So fdisk L. So instead of fdisk L, oh, I didn't give it a system. Fdisk L. So if I just did fdisk, it says bad usage. Okay. So I would do fdisk dev nvme0 and 1. Disk is currently in use. That is good. P gives me that. M. And then there is I and there is O. Dump disk layout to sf disk script file. So if I did O, test, Q. So now I have a file called test. Let's see what it has. Label GPT, label ID. Okay. Man SF disk. Probably not here. Man, sfdisk. Sfdisk device command. Sfdisk is a script-oriented tool for partitioning any block device. It runs in interactive mode if executed on the terminal. Supports MBR, GPT Sun, cool, but no longer provides any functionality for CH addressing. Okay, that's good. Completely erase this. Clicks first to sector when creating a new disk label. The option wipe always disables this protection. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Okay, so N activate backup. Interesting. So this is perfect. So I do dump device. Dump the partitions of a device in a format that is usable as input to sfdisk. C backing up the partition table section. So backing up the. Okay. It is recommended to save the layout of your devices. sfdisk supports two ways. Dump in sfdisk compatible format. Use the dump command to save a description of the output of the device layout to a text file. The dump format is suitable for later sfdisk input. For example, sfdisk dump can later be restored by sfdisk. Okay. Note that sfdisk completely restores partition types and partition UIDs. This can potentially become problematic if you duplicate the same layout to different disks, as it may result in duplicate UIDs within your system. Cool. If you want a full binary backup of all sectors where the partition table is stored, what is the difference? It writes the sectors to sfdisk device offset.back. The default name for the backup file can be changed with the backup file option. The backup file contains only. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Should I try this? I'm curious. So I do sfdisk backup pt table. Is it singular or plural? Okay, it's PD sectors. Whoops. PD sectors of dev NVMe0 and 1. Are you asking me what GPT is? Oh, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I don't have any charge on my phone. Oh, wait, are you asking me what GPT is because you're thinking of ChatGPT? GUID partition table. And GUID stands for globally unique identifier. So, yeah, I showed you what a partition table is. Partition table is, yeah. What's your question? Yeah, it's not very unfamiliar. Yeah, so the GPT is what's going to keep track of all the partitions. So I could do backup like this, or I just do the rest of this. This one has a bigger file. I don't know why this is bigger. GPT backup entries, backup header, GPT headers, GPT entries. To create a bunch of files, then there's five different files. What do you think? Do I do binary backup or do I do script backup? I feel like I should do script backup. Script sounds better, right? Well, because it's much less complicated to restore it for one, and it's easier to read. So I would just do dump and it gives me everything. But there's no output file in this. Output. Colorize the output. Output. No, not that one. So it's gonna go to standard output. Okay, something I completely forgot. I need to create a directory for backups. The first thing we're gonna do is, if I have tasks and rules, which one runs first? Okay, okay. So if I have tasks and roles, tasks run afterwards. How can I change that? Or I just create another role. Oh, I could do pre-task. Would that work before roles? Hmm. Okay, the pre-task runs first. Cool. So if I were to do pre-task, and then I would do name create backup directory. It's gonna be file type directory order. I don't actually know what it's supposed to be. So it's gonna be the file module. And what do you take? I need a mode on it. Modification time. Owner is gonna be root. That's gonna be weird. Path is required. There is, okay, it's state. State is directory. I would probably put this in a loop. All intermediate subdirectories will be created if they do not exist. That's cool. Unsafe writes, SE user source. No. SE user, SE type, SE role, SE level, recurse, path, owner. Modification time, mode, group, force, follow attributes. Alright, let's do owner root. Group is also going to be root. Mode, let's do a 700. But then everything will have to be run as root. I don't particularly want that. Or you can use facts. Answer provides you the built-in Ansible datetime variable, which is automatically populated with the current time. Let's see if that is true. Facts and magic variables, not ISO? What do you mean? Are you asking why my backup is not an ISO? Print all available facts. Ansible facts. Ansible facts. I'm not particularly a fan of the time. Well, I haven't formatted it. I still don't know where to find it. Hehe. Still looking for how to get the date. Also, I don't. Wait a second. Ansible devices. There's already something here. Yeah, I didn't even think about Ansible stuff because I think Ansible by default gives me a lot of information, but I haven't done that. And if I were to try it right now, I would probably leak my IP address. Not like I haven't leaked my passwords on stream already. Because Ansible Facts is going to give me a lot of facts about my system, and I would expect it includes IP. So it does give you the model of the first disk and other information about the disk, but does it have, where is disk? So disk, Ansible devices, device holders, host, links, UUIDs, model, partitions, sectors, size, start. It does have all the information. It does have all the information, but the thing about Ansible facts like this is it's not really usable by SF disk, and I want to keep it portable. I don't want to be like, oh, I need Ansible again to make use of this. That sounds silly to me. So I'd rather just have all the data in simpler formats. But I do need the date, and I'm trying to figure out how I can get that. Oh, look at that. SSH client redacted. SSH connection redacted. Maybe I'll turn off my screen for a second and see what Ansible Facts gives me. Hold on. But how do I check the facts? Is that what it was? If you already created an inventory configured SSH, you can see the raw information for any host by running setup. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try running ansible m setup local host and oh yes, it does give out my IP. I can see it. Would I be able to keep my phone open while it's on charge? I don't think so. Stream manager. Right. Uh, IPv6. There's a lot of data that Ansible's getting. Uh, Maybe it's not completely useless to just have Ansible facts saved. Hmm. So right now I'm looking at my disks and oh, that's a lot of information. Wow. It does have the sectors, sector size, start. Maybe I will register Ansible. What happened? I was in the wrong section. Okay. Maybe I will have Ansible facts saved to a file too, because it seems pretty useful to have a backup of the other information that I'm getting manually. Hey, but the Ansible daytime. Okay, so I would do. How do I do that? So I just do Ansible daytime, and then there's date. So pretty useful by itself. Cool. Let me close this. Bring my screen back up. Ansible m debug argument Ansible date. It's going to be var is equal to Ansible date time dot date. Does that work? Variables not defined. Cool. Cool. But just to make sure that this is actually working, let's do message is equal to hello. That works. Cool. So if I did variable and then I did Ansible date time, so it's because I need to run setup first. Is that the problem? Ansible facts are related to your remote system, including operating system and more. You can access this data in the Ansible facts variable, but you can also access some Ansible facts as top level variables with the Ansible prefix. Okay, do I have the Ansible facts variable? I don't think I do. It's probably because okay, let's do localhost. Oops, not localhost. Inventory.ini. It's empty. Why is it not working? Ansible date time should work. Is it because I didn't do setup? Oh wait, I have to set gather facts. Okay, cool. I remember that thing. Gather facts is equal to true. It has to be set somewhere. Gather facts is false. By default, gather facts at the beginning of each play. If you do not need to gather facts, for example, it's probably okay. So I cannot set it like that. Got it. So facts are gathered automatically. So I just do with item. Could probably do it here. Ansible date time dot date with items system. No, I'm gonna call it disks. System slash user. This is gonna need to become is it true? Become wouldn't work because hold on. What am I become methods ansible? Because I can't use sudo because my streaming account doesn't have sudo, so it's gonna be pfexec. Would that work? So it's either that or machine control. Okay, what are my options again? It's pfexec, pm run, pb run, machine control, do as dzo. And since I don't have sudo, it has to be machine control, I guess. I don't have machine control either. I do have machine control. But if I do pfexec, it says command not found. If I do machine control, it says no start of JSON character found. See standard error input output for the exact error. item system user module standard error failed to parse machine specification, invalid argument. Okay, this is annoying. I don't know how to do this. Okay, so I can do run zero, touch. I don't know. OS release. Okay, let's just try with run zero. Run zero. What do you mean? There you go. You're gonna ask me for every single item? Seriously? And I typed it wrong. Okay. So var backups and there's a date. Cool. We have created stuff. Should have been users, not user, and system is gonna be the OS name. So we're gonna do system and we're gonna do users system ansible host name. Okay, I don't have to do this because I know that it's going to be created recursively, so it seems wasteful to do it in 3 different steps. So I'm just going to do one. Okay. Cool. So that's a start. The next part that I would do is I'm just going to create this. Okay. Um, store facts. So can roles take variables? How do I do that? With items, okay. npm node modules, blah 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 blah. Okay, I'm doing this wrong. Wait, where was it? To use list variables and iterate through the list to install as many packages as your playbook wants, but how does my playbook call it? Okay. Okay, so I can just set it in vars. We could create a new playbook like our first, but add a variable either in var section or in vars file to override the default. Right. But would it be possible to set it within the roles? Or can roles only take an array? I think it can only take an array. Okay. So, huh. So I could probably do it over here too. I could do vars backup directory, then delete all of that. So now I can just do item over here. So I'll do okay, I'll do it here. Okay, and then in store facts, we're just gonna put this directly in there. So roles, new directory, store facts, new directory, tasks. Oh, sorry, it's gonna be main.yml. We're gonna create a new task, which is gonna do can file take output. File. There's no way for me to set the content from here. Could do copy. Should I do a copy? So I would do copy and then where is content? No, there's only source. Unless, is there some other way for me to do this? No, it's source file to be used for copy. Can I use the debug module? Debug with a file action async check mode connection diff mode platform assert fail. Okay, no. So it's using the template module. Interesting. Template a file out to a target host. Templates are processed by Jinja 2. Template host. Template UID. Template path. Template full path. Template desktop. Template run date. This needs a file. Template a file out to a target host. Templates are processed by Jinja 2 templating language. Documentation of the templating format can be found, and additional variables can be used in templates. Ansible managed, template host, template UID, template. Okay, none of this is relevant to me. Attributes. Okay. Backup. Block end string. Block start string. Comment end string. Comment start string. Destination. Source group lstrip mode new line sequence output encoding source path of a Jinja 2 formatted output template on the Ansible controller. This can be relative or an absolute path. File must be encoded with UDF-8, but output encoding can be used to control the encoding of the output template. Trim blocks and save writes. Validate variable end string. What I need to check is the book. In the book, we have something with roles and templates. Oh, right here, templates. Files and templates. So I do example files, example.conf, and then I can do source example.conf because, okay, got it. So the module is going to be template, source, I don't even know what to call this. Okay, let's call it facts.json.jinja2. And it's just going to be like Ansible facts. That's it. So it's going to be Ansible. Oh, it's facts.json. Sorry, facts.json.jinja2. Dest is going to be backup directory slash ansible underscore facts.json. Good enough. Let's just call this facts.jinja2. That's it, right? What else do I need to specify for template? There's mode. Not particularly relevant. I don't think it matters. Owner and mode and else strip and force and follow and dest. So one problem I'm gonna have is the directory is not owned by me. Maybe I should do a pre-task. Is there ACL built into it? Ansible POSIX ACL. I don't know if I have this module. Probably don't. Entry default user Joe read write. Okay. State path register path entity user state absent. I just do entry. So name, let me write to backup directory. Then it's going to be ansible.posit.acl path backup directory. There a recursive state is present and absent. Recursive is true, recursive true, state present, entry is, hold on. Why does entry have default over here? Is that how it's supposed to work? Default user ansible user can read and write. And execute where necessary. That is the default. So I do become only for the top part and everything else I leave as it is. I do backup directory, item, no mode, no group, and no root. Where did I mess up? Backup directory. Okay, this was the first pre-task, I think. Yeah, 12. No, still somewhere. Oh, I don't think it's called path. Oh, it's path. Okay, what is the problem again? Could not resolve module action code. It's called Ansible Collection, Ansible POSIX. Ansible Collection, Ansible POSIX. I don't need to do this. I can just do it with shell. Why would I do it with another module? I just need one function. So we're gonna do shell. We're gonna do literal style, and we're gonna do a little. I don't know how I can use Ginger and little, but let's see. Set FACL, modify, recursively modify user ansible user can read, write, execute, backup directory. Actually, I don't need this twice. I just need it once. So I could probably put this as command. So this will also need become, and the rest will not. So I need become on first and second, the rest I don't. Okay, let's see how this works. Great. Oh, Ansible users know what it's called? Okay. Oh, it has everything. Oh no, it's user ID. Okay. It's not UID, it's just user underscore ID. Got it. Hmm. Permission denied. Right. Why was it denied? So I should be able to write to it. Right. Of course, that would not work. Makes sense. Makes sense. I should have done shell after all. Oh, what's the problem? There was an issue creating as requested, permission denied, paths, system home, patch users. There was an issue creating, okay. Get FACL on this. It is. So why didn't I write it? Oh, wait, this is root. Um, I don't have execute permissions on this, so what I need to do is I need to do 701. No? Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, store facts failed. So that wasn't the problem. Using a module and expect the file to exist in the remote, see the remote source, failed. We could not access facts or Jinja 2. Searched in templates, facts or Jinja 2. Wait, that should have worked. Roles, store facts, files, facts.jinja 2. Tasks, main.yaml. Alright, I shall come back to that, but first, save this. What is the difference over here? There's nothing over there. So this is the only part that's different. Create user writable backup directory. I'm still going to need to become for a lot of tasks, but it's going to be less. So that is good by me. Searched in playbook roles, store facts, templates. Okay, it's called templates, not files. So that's the problem. Okay. Sweet. Just gonna go check for a second if it has what I want. Okay, it has a lot of information, but it is the right file, so that's fine by me. And for some reason, they didn't want to format it. Quite annoying, but let it be. Okay, so I get the facts. Now I go on to the next part. Let me store this track. Sorry, stage. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually going to do something. I'm going to do JQ keys on ansible facts. What do you mean? What is happening here? Hold on. Oh no, it's not valid JSON for some reason. Line 1, column 11. Line 1, column 11 is a number. I actually have no idea what's wrong. Oh. Okay, it's using single quotes instead of double quotes. Well, no, that's not the problem. Because even if I do replace it, it says there's another problem at line 1, column 485. And there's also problems with how it's saved true. Because the input was YAML and YAML doesn't care about the capitalization of true and false, I think I have a problem with JQ. Nope, still having problems. I've changed the case of true, I've changed the case of false, but I still have a problem at column 21,231. None. Cool. Maybe this was not supposed to be JSON. Maybe I just leave it as YAML. Could I not do that? Why is it even JSON? So annoying. If it's originally YAML, can't you just leave it as YAML? Okay. So I had to convert single quotes to double quotes, change the case of true, change the case of false, and change all instances of none to null. And then it gets interpreted as valid JSON. Well, that's annoying. Oh, there's two JSON and two nice JSON. Oh, that's interesting. So those are ginger filters. So I could probably just use those. How would I do that? I would take the template. Well, Googling is helpful after all. So now if I did JQ, cool, it works. Q, 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 Q. So there's a ginger filter that filters, that converts Ansible facts into JSON, to nice JSON if I wanted to. That is cool. So now I can do JQ keys. Okay. All IPv4 addresses, v6 addresses, Ansible local app, armor, architecture, BIOS date, BIOS vendor, board asset tag, board name. Wow, that's a lot of information. Okay, default IPv6 devices, discovered interpreter, Python distribution, distribution file path, distribution file path, variety, DNS, domain, UID, EGID, fiber channel, WWN, host name. That is cool. I didn't use that, did I? Did I use that already? I did use it. Okay. Okay, so Storefax works fine. The next part that I wanted to do was devices. So if I did LVM, I want to know what happens in LVM. Crypt. Oops. Crypt. No, there's no crypt disk. Okay, really the only part that's interesting to me. Okay, maybe I shall take a look at devices. It was devices, right? Devices is disk. No, disk is probably separate. No, it's devices. This. Okay, devices. Okay, so let's do 4. Oh, okay. Hmm. This would not be interesting at all. This is going to take too much time. And this one doesn't actually say the type. It says size, sector ID, links, holders. What are holders? Okay, this is not very reliable because there's no way for me to know if this is a crypt disk. This is lux. So we're gonna do partition table. It's gonna be inside of the disk's role. Okay, roles, disks, tasks, main.yaml. First one, name, backup, partition, table or tables. I could probably do multiple tables though. Hold on. So if I did devices, I have DM0, DM1, DM2. Okay. Actually, what happens if I do devices dot DM0? So inside of ID, I can see that it has Lux, but outside of it, there isn't really anything. Hmm. So virtual becomes 1, which would not be the case with something like NVMe0 N1. Oh no, virtual is 1. That's weird. But it also has a model which is not necessarily present in disk mapper. Vendor is null though. Serial, sectors, scheduler mode. Okay, I don't know how to do this. So I'm gonna stop here for now. I could just do shell literal block with sf disk, but then I don't know what the name of the disk is. So that's where I would do backup directory disks And then I would do another name, item dot sf disk. Then with items. This is the complicated part because I don't know what the items are going to be. So I would probably have to do something like, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. Folders, host, link, model, partitions, removable, rotational, sectors, size, vendor, support, discard, size, sector size, scheduler mode, rotational, removable, partitions, model, links, hosts, folders, SAS address. That good enough? No. Oh well. Because the only way for me to get the path from here would be to. Yeah, the only way I could get the path would be to use the key itself. So that's not ideal. Yeah, the SSD is NVMe, but. So I'm trying to use the facts that Ansible gathers. Ansible gathers a bunch of facts every time it runs. And I thought I could use those facts to get the list of disks. Because obviously, I might have more than one disk. So if I'm backing up more than one disk, I can use the Ansible fact to, you know, repeat it for every disk that's on the system. I don't have to specify the name of the disk in advance. But Ansible Facts does not really give me the best way for me to consume the list of disks because it's coming out somewhere like this. Actually, I can just show you the whole thing. So that's what it looks like. So I have to get this key, but that's not even a real device. The real devices are here. So this is a real device, and this is a real device. The rest are all virtual devices. So if I did removable, I were looking for removable. No, because even if it's a virtual device, removable is 0, and there's no SAS address. So the only way I can get it would be like to do something like /dev, and then I'd have to use this name. But how do I get this name? It also has RAM modules. It did. I didn't notice that. So I'm wondering how I could do that. Oh, this one. Yeah, this also has RAM modules. Yep, yep, yep. So ZRAM is swap storage, which shouldn't be here, but it is here. Yeah, so Ansible's collecting a lot of facts, not necessarily useful facts. Uh, yeah, it's mounted as a device, I guess. Not the same tech. It's just the way the kernel looks at it. It looks at it as a disk. Excuse me. Yeah, this does not give me the partition. It only gives me partition. It doesn't give me the whole disk. I could use SF disks. That's not a problem, but I have to find the disk first, and that is the problem. So I don't know how to make a list of disks. That is a problem. Hmm. Okay, I am gonna stop with this for today. I don't know what else to do. So I need to get a list of disks. You know what? I'm gonna make some notes. Get list of disks. Run SF disk on it. Get list of partitions. Width looks to back up the headers. Get list of partitions with LVM to. I don't even know if LVMs have headers. Logical volume backup. VGCFG command creates a volume group backup. VG data. Oh, I didn't know this. Okay. So just copying this should be enough. Then I can do a restore of this. Metadata backups and archives are automatically created whenever there's a configuration change, unless this feature is disabled in album conf. By default, metadata backup is stored in, and archives are stored in. Note that a metadata backup does not back the user system data. You can back up the metadata to LVM with the VGCFG backup command. You can restore the data with the VGCFG restore command. The VGCFG backup and VGCFG restore commands are described in backing up your volume group data. What do I have? Contents, text, format, volume group, version 1, description, created after executing, creation, host, Fedora. That's not true anymore, but that's okay. Playground is my VG. Inside of my VG, okay, that's the ID, that's the sequence number, format LVM2, status, flags, max LV, max PV, and then there's PVs. There's one PV, which is device hint only, device ID, device type, allocatable, device size, PE start, PE count. Then there's the LVs, do root, and do boot. Oh, I could probably just copy that right now. What was the file called again? Okay, it's called Playground. Can I read it as a user? I cannot read it as a user, so I need a become on this. I need a become on that too, actually. Alright, time to sleep. Not bad, I started out at least. And I think it looks pretty cool so far. Pretty clean too. Well, that's it for today. Bye bye. I don't know if you're still here. You are. Bye bye.